The Paper Mario series is definitely one of my favorites among Nintendo's many franchises, or at least it used to be. The series went in a strange direction after the third installment, instead leaning towards a more basic formula than its previous entries. So what changed, and why? Well, let's find out. After the success of Super Mario RPG on the Super Nintendo, the crew at Intelligent Systems wanted to take a shot and make a sequel to the game. However, since Super Mario RPG: The Legend of the Seven Stars was a collaborative project between Nintendo and Square, a sequel wouldn't really be possible, as Square did own a lot of the rights to the project. So they decided to make a new series called Mario Story, which would be a great RPG adventure and have a paper storybook art style, which would be really unique to the Nintendo 64 since many of the games were fully 3D. Instead, this one mixing 3D with 2D sprites. The name would be changed to Paper Mario when the game got localized in the West, due to its interesting and unique art style. So what is the formula of this game? Well, after the main premise of Bowser claiming the Star Wand and capturing the princess, and levitating the castle up into the atmosphere, Mario, along with multiple characters that join your party, then set off on an adventure and find the 7 star spirits that have been hidden away. However, what makes the story good is not necessarily the destination, but the scenarios and chapters that Mario gets himself into along the way with the other characters. And that's what makes the story engaging. The game takes a book structure with prologues and chapters, just like I mentioned before. The turn-based battles are fantastically done. You have to press or do certain button combinations to successfully land attacks, or deal greater damage. The party can be used in turn-based battles to help you out too, and you can also control their actions just like Mario. You also have the ability to equip badges, which allow you to use more tactics. However, the most important thing that makes up this game is the experience points system, which is really well thought out and done. When you battle an enemy, you gain experience points. Once you accumulate 100 of these so-called star points, you can then choose to level up your health, flower points, a currency which limits the amount of badge moves, and the badge points, which limits the amount of badges you can equip. So all of these function together, so if you remove one, then it kind of breaks the entire system. This gives you a purpose to battle, and allows for grinding, which is really important. Progression is then really smooth, and the game just feels like a fun experience that is carefully designed. You also have the ability to use tactics that are provided by these star spirits, with a fun world to explore that is really unique and looks really cool with this new paper aesthetic. Paper Mario for the Nintendo 64 is an absolute masterpiece. But how could it improve? Well, that's where the sequel comes in. Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door, also previously referred to as Paper Mario 2, is the direct successor to the Nintendo 64 game. It took every aspect, but it tweaked and built upon its predecessor correctly. Other than the overhaul in the graphics department, the game overhauled the battle system too. It also made the world and characters seem more alive, and it went for a more unique story that we've never really seen in a Mario game. You also have new overworld abilities, such as turning into a paper boat or paper airplane. The story centers around a mysterious door that has been locked underneath the sketchy town of Rogueport, the hub world that connects to other areas. Just like the first game, you need to journey around the world and find the 7 hidden crystal stars to open the door. The game still has scenarios like the first game, but the story is much darker in tone, and there are more unique characters with an all-new villainous team called the X-Nauts. The music is absolutely incredible, and the experience is so polished that I would call it one of the best sequels to a video game ever made. After this game was released, the Paper Mario team went on to create a brand new Paper Mario game. However, this time they wanted to make something a little different and more experimental. Enter Super Paper Mario, a spin-off of the series. This game was supposed to be released on the Nintendo GameCube. However, they decided to move it to the Nintendo Wii due to development time. This game is a 2D RPG platformer with a 2D to 3D flipping mechanic. That's actually pretty interesting. That means it plays very differently from many of the other platformer games and all of the Paper Mario games that came before it. The environments look really cool in 2D, but they sort of look bland and plain in 3D mode, just looking like an empty corridor with things attached to the walls. They could have done a bit more to spruce that up. However, where this game shines is its story that revolves around Count Black, a mysterious man that has a book called the Dark Prognosticus. With it, he plans to put the world into darkness and destroy the entire multiverse. Yeah, stakes are definitely high in this game. The Count also has other companions, which serve as bosses, such as Mimi, which is quite interesting, Mr. L, which, to be honest with you, I have no idea who he is, but he does look familiar, and Dementio, who is such a cool villain, and probably the best villain in a Mario game ever. However, according to the prophecy, Mario has the ability to stop the destruction of the multiverse by collecting the 8 pure hearts. During this adventure, the main hub world is Flipside, a dimension in between dimensions. Also, I forgot to mention that you do have other characters that are playable, and also partners. For characters, you have Princess Peach, Bowser, and Luigi to play as. And for partners, you have these things called pixels that give you abilities and can definitely come in handy. The music, the scenarios, the random things that happen, the writing, it's all fantastic and will definitely take you by surprise at some points. If I am going to be honest here, I would have rather had turn-based battles in this game. Because the platforming battles seem a little annoying and less strategic, they still do have some strategy to them, but they definitely feel a lot more tedious. The game does reward you with experience points, however, which can allow you to increase your health. I mean, it does it automatically, so progression is handled quite well. But other than a few minor complaints, this is definitely one fantastic Paper Mario game that I definitely put along with the rest, as it has the charm and core of the first 2 titles, but does its own unique thing. After Super Paper Mario, the directors and producers wanted to take the series in a whole different direction. Since the last 3 Paper Mario games got better and better in terms of storytelling, everyone thought the 2012 3DS title would be the same. However, that wasn't necessarily the case. Paper Mario Sticker Star changed so much that it ultimately didn't even feel like it was part of the same series that everyone knew and loved. First of all, the story was dumbed down to the absolute basic premise, even more simpler than the Nintendo 64 game. Bowser steals the Sticker Star and Mario has to save the day. That's it. That's the entire premise, and that's as basic as you can get. The unique races and characters found in the games that came before it were also gone, instead replaced with toads that are everywhere. You cannot escape the toads. The battle system is quite boring and shallow, especially compared to the ones found in the first 2 Paper Mario games. Attacks are basically stickers that you collect throughout the overworld. This makes each sticker only usable once for one attack. You also get so many throughout the levels and the world that you basically don't need to worry about running out of them. The non-infinite attack system is actually not terrible, especially since the battles can be done really quickly. However, the main issue is that experience points just don't make a return. Instead, battles are just annoyingly in the way and you definitely want to avoid them, as they don't do much for you than just waste your time. The graphics look fantastic, especially for a 3DS game. I think they definitely nailed the aesthetic. And the music, especially Nintendo music, it never disappoints. In an Iwata Asks interview, Tanabe talked about Paper Mario Sticker Star. In it, he mentioned how Shigeru Miyamoto influenced the project right from the beginning. Shigeru Miyamoto stated, apparently, "It's fine without a story, so do we really need one? And, as much as possible, complete it with only characters from the Super Mario world." Then Tanabe stated, "Yeah, with regard to the story, we did a survey over the Super Paper Mario game in Club Nintendo, and not even 1% said the story was interesting." A lot of people said that the flip move for switching between the 3D and 2D dimensions was fun. They shouldn't have used this as an actual metric because probably no one did this survey, so they shouldn't have used this information. This information was quite disappointing for many Paper Mario fans, but maybe due to the reviews of the game, Nintendo would go back to their older formula. Well, at least hope was there. In the March 3rd, 2016 Nintendo Direct, Nintendo revealed Paper Mario Color Splash for the Wii U. The reveal was quite weak, and many Nintendo fans were left disappointed and utterly confused. Soon after, a lot of backlash appeared all over YouTube and Twitter, and at the same time, every Paper Mario Color Splash video that appeared on Nintendo's YouTube channel continued to grow with dislikes. The marketing wasn't great either, especially due to the Wii U being on its last few months, as the Switch would come out in just a few months after. The game was heavily criticized for being just like its predecessor. There was no experience points, few unique characters, same story idea, and same attack system, this time replaced with paint cards. Paint and coins sort of handles the experience problem, however you get so many of the currencies that they never have any value. Also, one huge problem is just how clunky the battles are for the use of the Wii U gamepad. One problem with a lot of the Wii U games is that Nintendo tried too hard to justify the use of the gamepad tablet, hence ruining a lot of games like Star Fox Zero. The idea in Paper Mario Color Splash is that you use the gamepad to select cards, and then you have to perform quite a lot of taps just for a single attack. It would have been far more convenient if the system was a lot quicker and simpler. So it was quite disappointing. However, on a high note, the writing in the game is fantastic, with great jokes that are actually pretty funny. They could have cut back with some of the paper puns, but overall the writing doesn't disappoint, and actually makes you laugh out loud in a couple of parts. And oh, the places are awesome to explore with stunning graphics. Sticker Star definitely had okay graphics, but they were sort of generic, while Prism Island, the main hub world in Color Splash, looks great. They even added white borders around the characters and enemies to make them stand out more. And honestly, as much as a lot of people don't like them, I think they work really well. Paper Mario Color Splash did not sell very well at all, clocking in with only 0.186 million copies sold worldwide. This was determined as a failure, and the future of Paper Mario was really dark and uncertain, until on March 3rd, 2017, Nintendo released their best console yet, the Nintendo Switch. This was a turning point in the company, as the system didn't really have a gimmick per se. The Switch is a hybrid console that allows you to play it in handheld mode or dock it on a television to have a home console experience. Also, Nintendo was very different in terms of their marketing, trying to appeal more for a general audience and not just kids like the Wii U. So could Paper Mario come back? And would it return to its roots? Well, on May 14th, 2020, out of nowhere, Nintendo revealed Paper Mario, the Origami King. The game was given a July 17th release date, which was awfully close, as Nintendo usually has quite a bit of time between reveal and release. This was obviously done due to the COVID-19 pandemic, which is why the trailer didn't appear in a Nintendo Direct. For one thing, the trailer was received really well, with a large amount of likes. At the time of this video's recording, 5 million views. After a large overview trailer explaining the details of the game, it was released to critical acclaim. However, there were still a lot of things that people didn't generally like, but overall, it was definitely positive compared to the last two games. The game got rid of the unpopular attack system and introduced a brand new battle system that uses a ring in which you have to line up enemies to perform combos. It's sort of similar to a Rubik's Cube. This allows for strategy, which was something that was missing from previous titles. However, experience points don't return once again, which is quite disappointing since they aren't really hard to implement and add more to the progression of the game. You do get coins, which is nice, but they still don't feel quite the same way due to the fact that the game tries to treat the experience points as coins and the currency as coins, and it just feels really off. Progression is still apparent, but maybe not implemented in the best way. The story is much better than the previous two games, with great cinematics and creepy part. It definitely grabs you at the beginning and keeps you engaged. For one thing, the game got rid of the world map that was present in both Color Splash and Sticker Star. It just felt out of place and ruined the overall feeling of the world. Now you have a fully interconnected world to explore, with really large places. partners are sort of back. They don't become part of your party, and they actually do rotate for parts of the journey. They also do help in battle, but you can't actually control them. But definitely this game is a huge step up from its predecessors when you look at it in a technical way. This isn't the 1000-Year Door sequel that myself and many others have been waiting a long time for. But still, Paper Mario the Origami King is still a good game, and maybe if the game sells well, Nintendo may look at remastering or porting other Paper Mario games, and that's why I actually see a good future for Paper Mario up ahead, even if it's just the beginning. Anyway guys, that brings us to the end of the video. If you did enjoy it, then don't forget to leave a like, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button to see future content on the channel. And definitely stay tuned for my review of Paper Mario the Origami King, and I will see you guys in the next one.